Hello, it is I, Julian Greystoke. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing something fun. I asked my viewers, what are some weird writer habits that you have? So I'm going to read theirs, and I'm going to throw in some of my own. I will just talk about our weirdness. Now, it can be anything from like habits that you have to do your actual physical sitting down and writing, or it can be habits that you have on the page, like what are your weird crutch words, or what are tropes that appear in every single one of your books, that kind of thing. So let's hear about our weird writer habits. This was actually a really common one, so I might not read all of the comments that say the same thing, but I will read this first one that says, I write sections out of order. I've seen this advised against so many times and for good reason, but I struggle with finishing what I start, and by skipping around I can write scenes that I'm in the mood for. Feeling happy, write a cheerful scene. Feeling sad, write a death scene. Feeling sore and in pain, write a reaction scene. I can't guarantee the quality is good, but at least I finish my writing projects. And yeah, a surprising amount of my viewers said that they write out of order as like their weird writer habit, and it's coming to my attention that maybe it's not so weird. Like, so many people said it, that maybe it's not a weird writer habit at all, and maybe writing out of order is something that a lot more people do than we're admitting to. I don't. I can't. And I do have a question for everyone who does write out of order. How many scenes do you end up not using? Because if you write out of order, it might be hard to tell like how many scenes you need. Now I'm a pantser, but maybe if you're a plotter, you've got it all worked out what all of the scenes are going to be, and you just write whichever one you're in the mood for at any given time. So maybe that's how you do it. But I am curious. It just makes me curious, like how many scenes do you end up using and how many do you end up discarding? And if you end up discarding a lot, that's okay. Like that commenter said, the book gets done. And that's the important part. Whatever strategy you use to get there, if the book gets done, you have succeeded. Maybe my weird writer habit is that I don't write out of order. I write beginning to end. I don't skip any scenes ever. I have never like left myself a note like come back and write this scene later. If there's a scene that I'm not enthusiastic about writing, I have to write it. I have to write in order. So maybe that's my weird writer habit. This person says, by the way, don't mind the weird lighting, it's from my laptop. This person says, I tend to write a sort of more script for a lot of my scenes before I dive into the proper first draft. Dialogue in dot point form, any notable actions or notes to put certain descriptions or a moment of introspection in very loosely fleshed out brackets. I find it gives me a better jumping off spot before I get to actually writing the scene, particularly if I'm struggling with structure of said scene. I did have a couple of these too, with people saying that they start out with writing dialogue. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, again, whatever gets your words on the page, whatever gets your books finished. I have had a few people that I have critiqued for who did this system. Their book still read a little bit like a play. So do make sure that you really go in there and flesh it out after you do that style. But there are probably people whose books I've read who use that style, and I had no idea. So that style could definitely work for people. This person says, probably not all that unusual, but I use music for inspiration a lot. I take walks and listen to a playlist for characters I'm writing and try to figure out how to write a certain scene, etc. I have a lot of music videos for my own books playing in my head. Oh my god, I do that too. I wish that I could animate, because I would just be nonstop animating music videos of my own characters. It's also quite important for me to visualize my characters and even their surroundings, so I use character and map creators quite a lot too. That's very interesting, and I also do the same thing. Weird writer habit of mine, I never used to have playlists for any of my books until the Adventurer Mage series came along, when I just ended up making this hugely long playlist for the Adventurer Mage series. You can find it on Spotify if you want to find out what Adventurer Mage sounds like to me. But I'm struggling to do it with my next project, where Adventurer Mage's like soundtrack just kind of fell into place for me. My next project, it feels a little bit like I'm struggling, and I've struggled all other times that I've tried to make a playlist for my books. So I don't know why, but Adventurer Mage just like perfect storm. This person says, not a current habit. I recently broke it, thankfully, but I used to not be able to start writing until I had completely filled out character sheets. I had to know everything about the characters before I could start. Thanks, Jenna. Sarcasm. Yeah, Jenna Moresi may have done that to a few people. Oops. I highly advise against it, as I've come to learn that the characters are pretty much living and breathing. You learn more about them as you write them, and they evolve, just like all of us. I could not agree more. Obviously, that might not work for some other people, but yeah. Though this still goes into my current habit, I still like keeping sheets because I like to stay organized, but now I fill it out as I go instead of having it all fill out at the beginning. The more quirky part of that is that I always start with filling out one positive and one negative trait written down as a base before I start writing, then add traits as our personalities become more clear. I think that's very fun. I think that's a great way to do it. Personally, that's basically how I do it too. This next person has a superpower that I wish I had. They say, I write on my phone a lot. Maybe it's because it's more unprofessional, so there's less pressure, but I find my writing is better this way. It's also a lot more convenient than lugging my laptop around everywhere. I cannot write on my phone. I so admire people who can do it, but like my thumbs are not fast enough. My brain goes 1,000 miles an hour and I can barely. After years and years of practicing, it took a really long time to get here. I can barely keep up with it with a keyboard. So I'm the person who does lug my laptop everywhere. I have a backpack that my laptop here, this is the laptop that I write on, is pretty small, so it fits nice in the backpack, and I literally just bring it everywhere. And then if I can sit down and write, I sit down and write because I need to tippy-tappy. I have heard of people writing novels on their phone on their commute, and I'm like, what sort of witchcraft? This person says, sometimes I really like writing in second person. If I'm having trouble getting something out that I have otherwise visualized, I use second person POV. That's a really interesting way to do it. I've never tried that. Maybe I'll have to try it sometime. It kind of like almost feels like you're like explaining your story to someone else maybe? Like that helps you? I don't know exactly how you do it, but that's very interesting. Here's another person who says that they start out by writing pretty much only dialogue with a few little things in between. They also say, I avoid dialogue tags like the plague. They just sound weird and clunky to me. Yes, even said. This method helps me distinguish character voices right up front and sprinkle in context later. It also does double duty, serving as a kind of scene outline and makes starting from a totally blank page every chapter way less intimidating. Wow, I could never completely eschew dialogue tags. I like a good said every now and then. It has its place, it has its purpose. So couldn't be me. Never using dialogue tags. Obviously, you want to use them sparingly and use action tags where you can, but no dialogue tags? I need a good said. I need a good asked. I just every now and then, I can't be having characters doing something after every single line of dialogue. This person says, my crutch word is emanate. Ooh, that's an interesting crutch word. And my dad makes fun of me for it. I also trained myself to want to write whenever I eat an apple by having an apple as my go-to snack while writing for several months. So the training yourself to write when you like have certain food is definitely something I kind of encourage. Like for a long time, scent was like my gateway. And I would have like a certain scent for every book. I had to stop doing that when basically the only time that I could write was on my lunch break at work. And so I could not cater my surroundings to my situation. So I just got used to being able to write anywhere, anytime. But I also really encourage, like I really liked how I could light a certain scented candle and it would get me into the vibe of the book that I was writing. So I could totally see how the apple thing would work. And I honestly support it. And oh my goodness, our crutch words are so fun. Like every time I discover a crutch word and think I've nipped it in the bud, a new crutch word appears like a Pokemon. So don't feel bad if you have crutch words because literally all of us do. Even if we don't know it, if you ever meet an author who's like, oh, I don't have crutch words, they are lying to themselves and you. Editors will help you find crutch words. Beta readers will help you find crutch words. Don't stress about it. I write down my common crutch words in my notebook when I'm writing so that I can go back and search them later. But betas are always identifying brand new and exciting crutch words for me that I didn't even know I had. For a long time, begin or began was one of my crutch words. My characters were beginning to do a lot of things. I think I've kind of nailed that one, but I'm sure something new has cropped up. This person says, oh, speaking of crutch words, this person says, I use the word perhaps a lot. And for the life of me, I never know when to use breathe versus breath, which my friend who reads everything I draft always corrects for me. Like another person here, I also jump around chapters and scenes out of order. Okay. It makes editing difficult, but helps me hit the initial word count and gain momentum to get ideas out in the first place. A little secret about me. I love the aesthetics of the word breathe, and I'm mad that breath is not spelled with an E on the end. I know the difference, but I'm mad about it because I think the word breathe is pretty looking. Is that weird? Is that weird? That's probably weird. But like I feel like when you become an author and you become just like words and looking at words are such a big part of your life. Like, back me up on this, people watching, but this is my next weird thing. The aesthetics of some words, they're like visually pleasing and I like to look at them. And breathe is one of those words and I wish I had a reason to use it more often. This person says, my crutch word is suddenly. Oh, suddenly is a common crutch word, and I think one of mine there for a while too. Apparently, in my head, anything that isn't fully anticipated is sudden enough to warrant the use of suddenly. This person says, I loudly play a pink noise to drown out distracting city sounds. What is pink noise? According to WebMD, for some reason, pink noise, consistent frequency or pitch to create more even, flat sounds, like steady rain, wind rustling through trees, or waves. Interesting. Things I did not know. I just kind of would call that like ambient noise. I didn't know it was called pink noise. I'm learning. This person says, I usually have different music and playlists for different characters / stories so that the music fits the vibes. Like a few others in the comments, I also write out of order and write whatever I feel. See, like lots of people, at least that watch my channel, write out of order. So I guess good for you all to hear that you're actually not alone, and it's actually maybe more common than we think it is. They also mention that writing out of order helps them deal with whatever emotions that they're feeling, and like, just as an artist, I find that art of all kinds is really great for processing emotions, whether it's writing, whether it's drawing. Can't encourage people enough to just like, feeling bad, make some art. This person says, I need my special playlist, also something to either snack on or drink. What it is doesn't really matter, and quite often I forget about it once I get started. That's me with any beverage. I sit down with my beverage to start writing, and then usually it's a warm beverage, and it is ice cold by the time I remember I have it. When I need to think, I have to walk around to get good ideas. Same! It's like my feet and my brain are connected. Often my writing gets better when I can think out loud or sort of hear how it sounds. When I write as if, I often forget writing if, and I have to go back and write in all the ifs later. That's something that my brain does. My brain, I kind of, because I've been writing for such a long time and typing for such a long time, I sort of have my own version of spell check where my brain and my hands don't quite communicate. And so I will often write words that are adjacent to what I wanted, but not actually what I wanted, just because like my hands, I got muscle memory in my hands and my brain is doing its own thing. And so sometimes I get some very weird sentences because like that's the wrong word, but it's the one that my hands thought should come next or whatever. And I totally do things like skip out words like as if, skip the ifs. Oh my goodness, both cats are here, and Nigel is here, and Giorgio wants to get on my lap, but I'm not going to let her because I need the laptop. This person says, I can't actually listen to music while I write, it's too distracting. If I listen to anything, it's white noise or sometimes ambient sounds, probably pink noise, as we learned, that relate to the settings of the scene I'm currently writing. I've done that. Like, if I'm writing a stormy scene specifically, I will often have like a storm with thunder playing. That's really like the only time that I do it, honestly. But I think the less common thing I've done in the past is find all my characters are sounding the same or using the same body language. I'll take a scene and draw a few pages of it in graphic novel format. Sometimes something about seeing my characters visually and how their personalities come out in their body language makes their voice click for me. It's easier to write dialogue for them. That's very cool. If you have the ability to draw, I could totally see that. And I love sketching my characters too. That's one of my writerly quirks, is sometimes before I start writing a book, but often after I've written the first few chapters, I like to sketch the characters. And if you've been following my short vlogs here where I've been talking about my writing experience with my latest work in progress, you'll have seen that I sketched some of the characters. And I don't have a whole lot of time to draw anymore because my life is very busy, but it's nice to just sit down and sketch some of them out and get the way I envision them in my brain onto a piece of paper. But it's weird that it usually only happens after I've been writing for a little bit. And this person just says, I'm trying to work on a playlist for when I actually start writing my first book I'm outlining right now. I have found that I create playlists, or at least with the Adventure Mage playlist, and a little bit with the playlist I'm making for the book I'm writing right now. I find that the playlist sort of happens organically in tandem with the book for me. So especially with Adventure Mage, I was listening to a certain type of music a lot. And so every time I'd be writing and I'd hear a song that seemed to fit, I'd stop and add it to the Adventure Mage playlist until that playlist was long enough where I didn't necessarily need to hop to other playlists as often. But yeah, I just kind of gathered as I went, gathering it all in. And I'm trying to, I think, the reason I'm struggling with my latest project is like finding the sound that it wants to be. I don't know what its sound is yet. Adventure Mage had a pretty clear sound. Kitties, okay, a kitty on either arm of the chair. I feel like a cat god. Yes, fear me. So kitties, do I have any other writing quirks? Do I? I can't write at night very often. I really struggle, especially if it's a day when I've worked. Like on the weekend, I can sometimes do it. But on a day when I've worked, I am less creative in the evening. So I tend to have to write in the morning, which is why second shift works so well for me. Or like when I was working one full-time job, I would write, like I would get to work early and I would write for half an hour, whatever, before work. And then I would write again at lunchtime. I wrote 3 books that way. Wrote 3 and published 1 that way. So it works. For me, anyway. It worked. But I definitely could not do it when I came home from work. I'd be like, all right, when I get home. And then like no motivation, just gone. So if you find yourself struggling to write when you get home from work, it might be your sign that as much as it sucks, you might be more creative in the morning and you might have to be more aggressive about carving out that morning time for your writing. Do I have any other quirks, Nigel? What do you think? One of my major quirks within my writing is that there are always animals in my stories. I love to give them character. They're always as real feeling, if not more so, than the human characters. And also, they don't die. I'll kill humans left, right, and center, but my animal characters survive. If knowing that bothers you, I'm sorry, but that's just a fact about my books. My animal characters survive. All right, I think those are all of our fun, crazy writing quirks. Thanks so much for everybody who left their comments about their writing quirks. Please continue this along and leave your writing quirks in the comments below. Maybe I'll do a second one of these videos. That could be fun. I could think of more quirks for myself, definitely. Oh, another one, I can't eat while I write. I can't have anything on my fingies and touch my precious keys with Cheeto fingers. Absolutely not. So I have to either be eating or writing, never both at the same time. All right, now I'm gonna stop. But I would like to also remind everyone that I am a developmental editor, and if you would like me to help you find your writing quirks and your crutch words and all of those things for you, you can find me on Fiverr. Let's talk. Your first 5K words are only $25 to find out if we would be a good fit, because a writer and their editor become like this dynamic duo that can work together for years. So like it could be the start of a beautiful friendship. I also have a Patreon where you can see exclusive videos and not seen here on the regular channel, and also you can do things like boss me around, where you can tell me what books you'd like me to review or what types of videos you want me to make. Plus, you can just support me in general, because YouTube has just been very disappointing for me as a creator. Like it feels like YouTube is crushing everything that I'm trying to do. Patreon is a huge help to all of us. I also have a Ko-fi if you just like to do the one-time donation vibes. And of course, if you would like to receive something even more for your money, you can find my books available now on Amazon. Go check them out. I try to keep my ebooks very affordable, so if you're looking to read one of my books but you don't have a lot of spending money, that's one way you can do it. Thank you all so very much for watching, and I will see all of you again next time with whatever it is I happen to be doing next time. Bye!
Toss a coin to your witcher, O Valley of Plenty.
And I'm here to shout out everybody who tossed a coin to their YouTuber. People like Kay, Annika, Jen, Gay Tutter, Constantina, Laknunga, SB Boots, Martha Baggins, July, Bird Anonymous, Sunny Shy, Sarah, Kat, 78 kilograms of shade, Veda, Roma, Hansing Pony, Haley, Sam, Kira, Kohikaro, Mooney, Pudamancer, Kirsten, Bear, Jojo Bookish, Robin, Ursula, Caitlin, Jessica, KJ, LaFone, Amanda, Celia, Alyssa, Deborah, Afra, Melissa, Swamp Goblin Waifu, Sophia, Merween, Kit, Light Julie, Belle, Patrick, and Sophie, Callison, Shelby, Zaire, Jesper, Rennie, a scribbling cat, Savvy, Jenny, Amanda, Lisa, and Sarah. Thanks so much for tossing a coin my way, everyone. I really appreciate it.